Hi, I'm Seamless, and today is Saturday, which doesn't actually mean anything because right now I'm going to give you a video about how to make tutorials. Not about the actual technical aspects of recording stuff. I've actually already done a video on that if you want to see it. Just search tutorials on my channel, uh, which is a weird thing to do on my channel if you think about it. Anyway, this video is about the actual content, how to make a tutorial. Hilariously, once you finish watching this video, you might actually see that this particular video is actually not going to follow a lot of the advice I give. But it's okay because this will still help you to sort of make stuff on your own a good time, get better, all that kind of stuff. So this begins. I'll give you the tips and then I'll sort of explain why these are all good ideas. The very first, most primary tip I can give about any kind of tutorial you're going to make for anything, not just music, not for technical stuff, not for anything that I've ever done, but for like anything else that anyone might ever do ever, is make the kind of tutorial that you wish you had. I say had because I'm assuming that if you're making a tutorial about something that you already know about what you're talking about, and that at some point before you made the tutorial, you learned about what you're talking about. In that process, you probably either found a tutorial that you liked or did not find any tutorial that you liked. So when you're making this tutorial, the goal is to make the tutorial that would have worked perfectly for you, that you wish you had, and that kind of thing. This is very important for two reasons. One, because if you are already familiar with the material, then you should already be familiar enough with how that material should be presented to you as you had been learning about it. And two, chances are, if you're just starting out making tutorials, you're not going to be super good at it. Like, my first tutorials were kind of bad, even though I had this in mind. I actually had a lot of these tips in my mind while I was doing it. I just was still bad at it. But they were manageable and they were watchable because of these things, even though I was like, hi, I'm Seamless, and here's a bass. Like, the thing about making a tutorial that you wish you had is that you're not worrying about anyone else's moment. You're worrying about your own idea about how stuff works. And I actually was given this tip by Toby Emerson of Black Octopus Sound, not about tutorials, but about making samples. He was a guy that he gave me the opportunity to sell my first sample pack, and at the time I had never made a sample pack, and I also don't use samples. I make my own stuff. It's sort of what I'm known for. But so I was like, well, what what format and how and whatever. And his answer to that was, make the samples that I, as a producer, would want to use. And I thought, okay. And so then I made them, the way that I did, which ended up being pretty freeform, basic file formats, not a lot of complication going on there. So that's, that was pretty good advice. And then I took that advice when I eventually made tutorials on this stuff. I was like, make a tutorial that I wish I had. And that's actually why I make tutorials, is because when I finally figured out the stuff that I've been trying for years to learn, I was just like, I need to tell people, because throughout all those entire years, I was trying to find resources. I was trying to find tutorials, and there just were none. Or there were infuriatingly a whole bunch that were titled as if they would be tutorials that would be what I wanted, and then failed miserably at being anything good. Either because what they were presenting was not what they were saying they were doing, being like, oh, here's how to sound like Skrillex, and it's just like a saw wave with a filter. It's like, come on, guys. And then, or it actually is the thing, but I just cannot deal with the tutorial. I can't watch it because it's so bad. So make a tutorial that you wish you had, and chances are it'll be okay. But if it's not, here's some more tips. Especially when in relation to sound design tutorials, and this, I guess, is very specific to the sort of stuff that I do, is that present what you're doing immediately. Do not waste time introducing, or have a very, very short intro, like my intro. Hi, I'm Seamless. Today is Friday, which means time due for how to bass. And today I'm going to show you how to make the sound. That's 5 seconds, less than 5 seconds. Very short intro, and then the sound plays. And the whole reason you do that is because until that happens, until you play the sound, it doesn't matter what you name the video, for the reasons I mentioned earlier. It could be Skrillex himself makes scary monsters nice sprites, and the beginning of the video is 10 minutes of bullshit. You don't know if that actually happens. You don't know if that happens. And so at the very beginning of the video, you put the sound down so that people who are watching your video know immediately if it's worth watching. And, some more nefarious types might be thinking, well, if I know that my sound's shit and I'm just being clickbait, then you don't want to do that. But I can't express to you how infuriating it is when you're like because for me, when I look for tutorials, if I'm looking for a tutorial, it's because my own personal experimentation and research did not pan out. So I'm desperate. Like, I've already been like, okay, I need to know how to make the sound. Maybe someone else does because, you know, other people know stuff too. And I go look for stuff, and I'm essentially mad now because I failed. And so I'm trying to find a tutorial. And if it's just like, people go like, "What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, whatever," and like then it's just like, "Okay, we're gonna make a sound," and like then they start making the sound from scratch, which is a cool thing to do. You could do that, but show the finished product first. Because at this point, I have to go fish around the video to find a sound. I'm guilty of this. I've done this. I have older videos where I full on did not put the sound at the beginning of the video, and people totally told me about this, and I was like, you know, you're right. It's my bad, and like. Now that's why I try really, really hard to ensure that the value of the video is apparent fucking in the beginning of the video. Do that. And that's honestly like my biggest complaint about anyone else who does tutorials is basically that. And like you could have like I like actually not like related to the sound design stuff. There's another YouTube channel for tech stuff for computers and whatever called Linus Tech Tips. And frequently their videos, they have an intro, but they actually show what they're going to do in the beginning of the video. Then they play the intro, and then they go and do the actual discussion part. So it's like here's everything. Like it's like the preview, the trailer for the thing, and it's not like Discovery Channel trailer where they don't really show you the one thing you know you want to see, and then they bury it in the half an hour of bullshit before they finally show you the thing that Jamie Heineman blows up. But they actually show you this being like, oh, here's the thing, it's really cool, here's whatever, this is what we're gonna talk about. If you're ready for this, here we go. And then they have the intro, and then they go with the video. That's what you need to do. You need to make sure that for whatever kind of tutorial that you're making, you put the value of the tutorial for like right at the very beginning. There's this joke about people who watch YouTube. I don't remember what it was called. It's like the Wadsworth constant or something. It's basically that the first 30% of every video is irrelevant because they all have bullshit intros. They talk about something, they preview whatever they're talking about, and then if you can skip the first third of a video, and then chances are right then is when the actual thing you want to watch begins, and that's really sad. That's really sad that that's true. All right, so this next tip has to do with sort of frequency of tutorials. If you only make like one tutorial a month, then this isn't really a big deal. But at the moment, I average one a week, which is a lot slower than what it used to be. I used to do one every day. I do kind of want to do one every day, but I run out of shit to talk about. And also, I just run out of patience for making videos. But which is pretty incredible. It's actually an incredible comment on my sore lack of patience because my pipeline for creating videos is ridiculously small. I was having a conversation on Reddit with a guy talking about like how he doesn't want to even engage in doing YouTube videos and about anything, not just tutorials, but about anything, because he edits videos for a living and he knows how much work it is, and that just seems like an incredible amount of work. And it would be, except that I don't edit my videos. I wing it. I just go. I hit the record button. I have my camera. I have that overlay thing with the screen capture. Everything, every little bit of editing that goes into my videos happens live, which means that when I hit the record button, it's whatever comes out of that is what goes on the YouTube. So that means I spend no time actually working on these videos, which is really good because that means if you want to produce a lot of content, you need to be able to do it quickly. And not just because like it's efficiency, you need to go faster, but it's because you don't want to burn out. You don't want to get in a position where you're spending 9 hours a day making 4 videos and then like you got to do that again tomorrow. Like, because it's just, no, it's really, it's a balance between doing what you need to do and then doing what you like to do, or not doing what you don't like to do at least less as possible. And, having a really efficient pipeline helps with that. And it's not just like the extreme version is what I do, where everything is live, everything happens immediately, and then it's done. But things like have a preset for whatever editing software you use that has your intro, has your outro, has the links going on. When you upload on YouTube, you have a preset for the information you put in for it. You can set stuff up so that you don't have to do as much of the technical editing. It can just go, and you can put the video clips in there, and it's all. Make sure everything is the same format. You record the same aspect ratio and resolution all the time, the same file frame rate and whatever. Like all these things, standardize your shit so that the first time you make it, it might take a while to set everything up, but the next time it takes a fourth of the time. And then you can make more. So that means that not necessarily that you can make 4 videos at the time, looking to make one, but that now that means you only need to make 1 video and take 1/4 of your time away, and then you can spend that other time doing other shit, and it doesn't like have to take a toll on your brain. One of the things that will become very clear when you do any kind of professional artistic endeavor, not just doing art, but the idea of doing art for a living, is that actually doing the art is like 10% of what makes your living work. Like, is it either, you know, because you're promoting or making videos, or you're doing, you know, other things to make it, you know, sustainable. But it's just that like making a sample pack, for example, making a sample pack was literally 10% actually making the sounds, and then 90% of your time is spent cutting it up and file formatting it, naming it properly, getting the notes in there, like all this organizing bullshit that has nothing to do with the actual creation of the stuff that you're doing. And this is true for video editing and creation, that like actually recording yourself talk about stuff and doing the things and whatever is maybe 10% of the time, and then all the, traditionally anyway, the editing is the huge part of it, and then putting it together and presenting it. And like my favorite tutorials before I made my tutorials, I mean, honestly, my tutorials aren't even my favorite tutorials, but like if my favorite tutorials, if I were to say, would be Scott Fisher's from ImageLine. He does the FL Studio Guru, FL Guru videos, and like his are like produced. There's edits, there's cuts, there's swipes, little arrows that show up, funny pictures. It's rehearsed, it's scripted, it's voiced over. Like everything is like on point, and it's super pro. And those videos take time. They take a lot of time to do. They take maybe 80 times the amount of time that mine do. And I would never be able to put up with that. Like even with if seriously like the streamlined, efficient like pipeline for creation, I wouldn't be able to put up with that. Like for the frequency that I do, with the almost 700 videos that I made in the last 3 years, it would be hell. But so like, you know, whatever works for you, whatever you can keep up, whatever that you can do indefinitely, whatever you can just do forever. I can see myself doing what I'm doing right now for fucking ever, and I would call that a good life. I would like that. I wouldn't mind. That's totally boss. So like, you have to keep that in mind when you're creating any kind of content, and that's also true for tutorials. I think I covered every truly majorly important thing about it, because a lot of what makes tutorials good is less about what the information that it's in it, and more about how it's presented. And if you are confident in what you're saying, which comes easier when you're making the tutorial that you wish you had, and then also you put the content right in the very beginning, those two things are usually enough to make your tutorial successful, where people can watch it, they can understand it. See, part of the reason why I'm putting it in the beginning is because even if I'm mad because I can't figure out how to make a sound, and this is my last hope, this tutorial is my last hope, if I know going in that the sound that comes out of whatever's about to happen is what I want, I will sit through anything. I will sit through some guy who learned English yesterday for about an hour talk in the worst broken whatever language he's got that I don't know, and slowly like stopping and like saying for 10 hours. I'll fucking watch that if I know that the end result will get me where I want to go. But I have to know that. If I don't know that going in, I'm just not going to watch the video straight up, full on. But I'll put up with a lot if I know that the video will eventually get me where I want to go. So like that's why I think most tutorials fail, is if they don't do that. Is that they only say that they're going to go where they're going, and then there's no proof until like you find the right, you know, at time marker 48:53 that maybe they made a sound. And you're kind of like, it's only as good as what I did already, damn it. And then you wasted some time. Any amount of time is an eternity when it's wasted. Which kind of, like I said, now that we're at the end of this video, a lot of what happened in this video didn't actually follow the guidelines that I just described, although that's okay, because this isn't really like a tutorial like step 1, find the information that you want to say. Step 2, illuminate your bullet points for creating a tutorial. Like that's not what this is. This is mostly a philosophical discussion about the presentation of tutorials. For technical stuff, the other video, like literally if you search tutorial in my videos, you'll find right up on top there, it's how to record tutorials the SeamlessR way, which in a gigantic channel of tutorials, it's really funny that the one video that is actually a tutorial on tutorials has tutorial entitled. Except now there's 2 because of this one. Yeah. Anyway, if you have any questions about this, please let me know. And as usual, have a nice day.